The goal should be to tell a story in the best way you know how, and get that story out there.
Milwaukee is a complex historical tapestry. Within concrete wastelands, amidst Cream City brick, rises our city of today. Business sprouts in the factories of yesteryear. Old haunts become new destinations. In this series, we speak to artists whose work was woven by this landscape and trace the thread back to this new Milwaukee.
What's up? My name is Marquise Mays. I am a filmmaker, but I am also a visiting assistant professor at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. A lot of people have a lot of different relationships with cameras, right? So you have to consider that. What is this person's background? What is their history with film, with media overall? What's their personality like? When you're interviewing someone, you're gonna get a range of personalities. Growing up in the city of Milwaukee, I was attached to movies. Like, I was obsessed with them. I feel like Black people in this city have a very special connection to the theater and a very special connection to movies. Growing up in this city, I was raised around a whole bunch of cousins, and during the summers there wasn't much for us to do, and I think that's just the plight of being a Black child in the city of Milwaukee. There's not enough space created for them. So my uncle would get us all, me and my cousins, in a van and take us to the movies, and we'd spend all day there. It was really cool, the theater experience, and I realized that Black people in this city love cinema because it was our first opportunity to see worlds outside of the worlds that we were subjected to here, the worlds that people would tell us we would live, and the kind of barrier that they put us in. But it wasn't until I got to Madison where I started to see my wings spread a little bit. I was a journalism major, so I spent a lot of my time researching, writing, reporting, and during that time was the height of the Black Lives Matter movement. So I was stuck in kind of a weird dichotomy of being a reporter, but then also being someone who was directly impacted by the effects of police brutality. So I was trying to understand my place as a community member, but as someone who also had a duty to objectivity. So at Madison, I started to do more documentary where I was able to blend reporting for my people, reporting for community, while it also still being creative and entertaining and enjoyable and more about archiving. So I started my documentary life at UW-Madison, but moving to USC, I was really interested in just learning about film, learning about media. The one thing I try to tell my students the most is that the people that you are sitting next to in your first film class will probably be some of the greatest collaborators you've ever had. My DP for the Heartland, Jonah, his name is Jonah, we had our first year freshman film class together. And we did a documentary that no one will ever see, but we did a documentary together in that freshman level class. And then we stopped talking for 6 years, right? We went on about our business, we lived our lives, and he then reached out for the Heartland. Now it's a beautiful kind of full circle moment when you say, like, we made a first film together. We didn't know each other that well, but we made a film together. And now both of us are on the Criterion Channel together at the same time. The sheer fact that they are in this room together at the same time, going through the same things, experiencing the same moments, creates a form of community and camaraderie that I think could last a lifetime. I think the ways that I've been able to kind of subvert the economic barrier that a lot of filmmakers are plagued with. Don't get it twisted, I'm very broke. It takes a lot to make a film. The ways that I've been able to subvert it, at least, is I ask for favors. A lot of favors are happening. Like, a lot of, like, if you do this, I got you on a meal next time I see you. You know, I didn't get my first camera until a year or two ago. So even that within itself, I've been a filmmaker for almost 10 years. And I didn't get my first camera until year 8. Making the Heartland, that was the biggest bartering I've ever done in my life. My cinematographer for the Heartland already had a camera. but he lived in Brooklyn. He reached out to me because I put out a call on social media looking for artists to collaborate with. So once I put that kind of call to action to people, they're down for the ride. He came down for 2 weeks, and the way I repaid him was through a lot of food, a lot of giving him breaks, like giving him rest. And now he has a really special relationship with my parents, right? Like, in that was a really beautiful moment. And then once the festival stuff start rolling around, and once the streaming stuff starts rolling around, that's when I could repay people for what they've done. To be the Black Lens programmer means that I am in kind of somewhat control of bringing Black cinema to the Oriental Theater. I have helmed this position from a wonderful film scholar, Dante McFadden, so I'm super happy to, take on his legacy. Black Lens, which is reaching their 10th year next year, has been a staple to the Milwaukee community for some time now, really trying to immerse the Black residents with cinema and bringing them into the Oriental Theater. One role and responsibility that I have is to dedicate my work around showcasing, presenting, and honoring Black independent filmmakers in the contemporary, right, in this current moment. I have a responsibility and a duty to bring those people to my city, because this city within itself is filled with hustlers and people who have so much at stake. And it's not just within creative arts, it is not just within film, but people in any occupation. I think my job is twofold: to bring filmmakers here who are committed to the hustle of the practice, and then to bring people into the theater to share that emotional experience together, that offering that the filmmaker has brought to them. When I was at USC, I was dealing with a lot of insecurity about my placement there. I was a research student, I wasn't a production student. So I already had this insecurity about what I was offering to USC as a space, because what I was offering was analysis and critique, but it wasn't creativity like I wanted. It was tough because I was fighting a lot at that time. I was fighting a dream, not knowing what my dream really was, but I was also not wanting to quit. And I think that experience has made me such a particular type of maker when I moved back to Milwaukee, because now I understand truly what it means to, and I've always known what a hustle is, but I think that type of hustle really impacted the way I move in the city now. So now that I come back, it's cool. Before we film, we do like a dinner at my house or something. So I create traditions from that, but the time before I even made my first film was the hardest, and that's when I realized how much community is important in this process as well. I think it means the world for me to live in Milwaukee. Milwaukee has given me so much of my identity, of myself, of my voice, that when I left, I always found myself trying to tell Milwaukee stories, and then realizing that, oh, I probably can't tell this story with palm trees outside. Like, I probably can't tell this story in this environment. I need to be back where it is. I think that's what it means to be a filmmaker in Milwaukee. I think we all are chasing something. And Milwaukee is a type of place where, like, you can chase as much as you want, but you won't get what you really need unless you hyper-focus in on the one thing that you are trying to achieve. People trust me to bring films to them that are entertaining, that are educational, that are dynamic, and that shift something in them. And that's something that I don't take lightly or take for granted. That hopefully, me learning all of this, I will be able to pass on to a young Black filmmaker who is about to sign their first streaming deal and don't understand what's next, right? That'd be my goal. So if I have to be the scapegoat, or if I have to be the sacrifice for learning all of this information, then I'll do that, because then I'll find accessible ways to share that with people after I'm done.